Hello, my love, and welcome back to the Energy Expansion Podcast. I don't know about you, but there are a few things that I love more than a completely unscripted moment. And that is what we're going to have together today. I literally have no notes. I might actually reference, I have my paper planner. Do you guys know that I love a paper planner? I'm very much a pen to paper person, which is probably going to be one of the things that we briefly touch on today, something new that I'm weaving into my morning practices. But I live and breathe by my paper planner. It is called Plum Paper is the brand that I use. I am so excited. Please celebrate with me. I am officially one of their affiliates. I've been using Plum Paper Planner. I kid you not. I think this year was probably year 9 or 10. And I have every planner I've ever owned. I have them all stored and saved. And every once in a while, I will pull out a planner from years past if I want to remember something or reference a specific date or try to remember when something specifically happened. And I can often just search things like that in my Google Calendar if they're business related, but I don't use my Google Calendar for everything that I do in my personal life. However, all of the things, personal, professional, health related, different types of things I'm tracking for my routines and rituals in that season, what's happening with the moon, what's happening with the holidays, what's happening with my own cycle, all of that goes in my paper planner. And Plum Paper, if I didn't already say it, so many P's. I think I've talked about paper planner lots of times, but Plum Paper Planner is the brand that I use that I love. And when I first started using them, they had just a really simple referral system through their website, but they have since offloaded it to a separate referral affiliate marketing company kind of situation. And I applied several months ago and it took forever, like months and months and months for my application to go through. And I actually ended up emailing Plum Paper. I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm one of your top affiliates. I've had over 100 people purchase Plum Paper planners over the years. I would love to be an official affiliate. And within hours, they sent it through. They were like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know if they check their application status very often. But that being said, I will often take notes. At the end of each month, I have 4 or 5 pages of just blank lined paper. And so I might reference that. But aside from that, all of that to say, it's just me and you and my mic. And I'm sitting here at my desk in front of my computer screen watching the little podcast audio thing do its magic. And I love recording these episodes. And sometimes I know exactly what I want to talk about, and other times it's not as clear. And in the past, not having clarity around exactly what I wanted to say would stop me from showing up. You know what? That's not entirely true because I've met this feeling many times before. The voice that says, you don't have anything to say, so don't show up. And I think I've shared that with you a few times in past episodes. And for the most part, we make it happen. We don't listen to that voice. We show up anyway. And those have probably ended up being some of my favorite podcast episodes. And so what I wanted to dive into, and this might spider web into a lot of different things, all of which my deepest desire would be really interesting to you and more than anything helpful for you. But I just wanted to bring you into my world and share what's alive, what's working, what I'm loving. Let's do that. So I was thinking about this last night, not necessarily for the sake of the podcast, but just because it crossed my mind. And I have mixed feels about this. There are certain things that I love about this and certain things about this that has me say, why am I like this? Do you have any of those things ever? Any characteristics, ways of being, patterns, things that you do or don't do? And you're like, what's going on with me? The thing that I'm referring to is my tendency to need to be the absolute most and be doing the absolute most. What do I mean by that? Yesterday morning, I shared with my husband, there's all these things that I want to do in the morning. I wake up, my alarm typically goes off at like 5:45. I'm going to out myself right now. No one judge me. I am a snoozer. I'm a snoozer. And you know what? I'm not going to make it mean anything about me. So you don't make it mean anything about me. If you're a snoozer, you don't need to make it mean anything about you. So I will often set my alarm, and I'm like a multi-alarm setter, if you know what I mean. I need you to send me a screenshot of your alarm setting situation. If you can relate to me, I want you to DM me on the Instagram or on the Facebook Messenger, wherever we hang out together. And is it so funny? Is it awkward? Does it out my age when I tell people to DM me on Facebook Messenger? Can you tell I'm a geriatric millennial? Because I totally am. And oh my gosh, give a mouse a cookie squirrel moment. As soon as I said geriatric millennial, made me think about this conversation I was having with my grandma a few weeks ago. And she called me a millennium. And she told me to be careful with the coins, that the millenniums these days need to be careful, need to be wary of the coins. And what she was referring to is millennials seem to have this love for Bitcoin currency and investments, and she does not know how she feels about that. My Granny Goose is the love of my life. She's the queen of my world. We will be celebrating her 85th birthday. I'm so excited. I just got to save the date for that. We'll be celebrating that in June. But yeah, I'm a millennium, and we are invested lightly for fun in the coins. That translates to millennials getting excited about Bitcoin and new forms of currency. So I digress. Message me on the Facebook. What are we even doing right now? Oh my gosh, you know what? Theo Vaughn is one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. Do you listen to Theo Vaughn? Do you love him? Many, many years ago, it was probably in the middle of COVID. I remember my husband and I sitting on the couch and we were flipping through Netflix looking for something to watch. And I was like, who's this funny guy? I forgot what the stand-up set, what the Netflix special was called for Theo Vaughn's stand-up back then, but we watched it and we were dying laughing, like stomach ache, face sore, cheeks aching from laughing so hard. So I've always loved Theo Vaughn, and occasionally I'll listen to his podcast if whoever he's bringing on interests me or intrigues me. And my husband actually got me into it. I didn't even know that Theo Vaughn had a podcast many years ago. And I think a lot of his episodes were solo. And my husband would listen to one here and there, and it was really funny. Anyways, when I listen to Theo Vaughn, he's like all over the place, and I love it. I'm obsessed with it. I can't get enough of it. And I'm feeling like I'm embodying a little bit of that scattered craziness in the exact right, perfect ways. So just bear with me, play with me here. We were talking about paper planners, and I'm an affiliate. That's what I wanted to tell you about that. So I'm super excited. I got the affiliate link. I will share that with you. I sometimes take notes in there. I don't have any notes today. But the things that I'm loving, come on, Dani, you can do this. Get back on track, sister. The things I'm loving, doing the absolute most. We went on like 5 side quests in the first 5 minutes of our time together today. Can you keep up? That is going to be my challenge for you today, is can you keep up with this conversation and all of our side quests? So I was telling my husband, there we go, we're back, telling my husband that I'm going to need to wake up at 3 a.m. every day. Not really. That's what time my husband wakes up, and I will not be waking up that early. I was telling you that I set my alarm typically for around 5:40. I usually wake up by 6:10 at the latest. And I really don't want to change that. But here's the thing. I am becoming the version of me who wakes up and does a workout, at least 30-minute workout first thing in the morning. So there's that. I am diving back into, fam, do you remember it started out as the Healthy, Wealthy, Thrive Challenge back in August? This is really what kickstarted my health journey, and we're doing another round of it. It's been renamed. It is the Vitality Revival Challenge. I don't care what we call it. All I know is it works and I love it. And so we're officially diving back into another round of that. And to be honest, I hadn't strayed from a lot of the teachings and the practices, the warm lemon water and the tea. I had drifted away from making celery juice every morning, but I'm bringing that back in. Getting outside first thing in the morning, getting some fresh air. I feel very lucky that I live in San Diego. So for the most part, you can find the sun in the morning, even if it's a little chilly, but stretching, moving your body, getting the lymphatic system going in lots of different ways. So I'm excited to really recommit to this. So working out, diving into each of my daily practices with the Vitality Revival Challenge, and then a colleague, a mastermind sister of mine, a fellow coach and amazing human, had posted that she was going to dive into something known as the artist's way. Have you ever heard of this before? The artist's way is a creativity sparking journey that is meant to be done over the span of 12 weeks. And it was created by Julia Cameron. And I say the artist's way, and some of you listening will know exactly what I'm talking about. This is not some like new hot trendy thing. It's an old hot trendy thing. It's been around for a really long time, so much so that the book that I have, The Artist's Way, the edition, is the 30th anniversary. And I don't think that is brand new. Like, I think it's 30 plus years old. So these very simple, powerful, creativity sparking tools have been around for many decades, between 30 and 40 years. And when I was reading the intro, I was feeling so excited and activated and lit up and expanded in the best possible ways, because Julia was sharing in this like updated intro to the book. Obviously, this wouldn't have been in the first one, because in this intro, she's talking about all of the updates that she's gotten from people over the years of this work, this book, these theories, these tools, the workshops that she was leading. I think it was her and her husband, or like a male business partner, from what I could gather in the dedication of the book. But in this updated intro, she's talking about how people have gone on to write their own books. They've gone on to really dive into their own creative expression through building and sculpting and painting and writing and singing and all kinds of things. And so her home is filled with all these beautiful embodied representations of her work. And I have been wanting to go through The Artist's Way officially for many, many years. I hadn't even actually cracked open the book. There are two main things. So it's a decent sized book. I don't know exactly off the top of my head how many pages, but it is meant to be, again, 12 weeks, and each week has its own chapter. And before you even get to the week 1 chapter, there's quite a bit of like preliminary stuff to read through and work through. But the two main tools are something known as morning pages and then a weekly creativity date. So I have a general gist of this, but just starting this yesterday. So I'm on day 2 of my morning pages, which is, I'm tooting my own horn over here, but not tooting it too loud, because 2 days is doable. But my goal is to have this be, honestly, like a forever practice. Like I want to stick with this. I want this to be a practice that I see through to the end of the 12 weeks. That's a good first like milestone, mile marker, if you will, but even well beyond that. And so I've been really loving it these last 2 days. Again, not getting overly excited, but I was telling my husband, I want to work out, and I'm doing this revival challenge and drinking these drinks and making these elixirs and then doing these morning pages. So the morning pages, when done the way that they're designed to be, which is not how I've been able to do them, because I'll tell you why in just a second. Morning pages is stream of consciousness, which means that there is no official journal prompt. You are writing whatever is on your mind and on your heart, and you are free flow writing, ideally without stopping. You're just... All right, love, real quick pause, because I have to tell you about something that is truly life-changing. If you've been in my world for any amount of time, then there is a 99.9% chance that you have heard me talk about Energy Expansion Academy, which is my signature group coaching program where I teach the exact tools, rituals, mindset shifts that helped me create a life that goes beyond my wildest dreams and has transformed the lives of hundreds of women that I've had the honor of serving. And for the first time ever, it is now available as a self-paced experience. That means you get to move through this powerful transformation on your own terms, in your own timing, and in full alignment with your life. This is for the woman who's ready to shift her energy, elevate her mindset, and finally become the most confident, fulfilled, and successful version of herself. without the hustle, without the overwhelm, and without the second guessing. If you've been feeling the nudge to join us inside of EEA, then this, my love, is your sign. You'll find the link in the show notes or just DM me EEA on Instagram and I'll personally send it your way. Now, let's get back to the episode that you came for. Write in whatever comes out, whatever you can think of. And the idea behind this is that you do this for 3 pages. That is what we're going for. So a daily, first thing in the morning, stream of consciousness writing practice until you get to 3 pages. Now, I'm going to have to get back to you maybe next week or in the next few weeks because I was curious about this. I once heard someone say that it was intended to be done on a certain size piece of paper, like a legal pad, if you will, like a legal notebook. I don't have any of those and I don't really want to write in those. And I have other notebooks that I love. Little life hack if you want to get gorgeous, very high quality notebooks at insanely affordable pricing, check out places like TJ Maxx. That's where I get most of my journals. I love them. I get them for myself. I give them as gifts. They're gorgeous and so fun and so pretty. And again, like really, really high quality. They're my favorite journals. And that's saying a lot because I'm a bit of a journal snob and they're my favorite. And so TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Home Goods, I think those are all like owned by the same parent company, which is why a lot of their products you can find across those 3 different stores. And so I have these really beautiful, decently sized, they're pretty big. They're not small by any means, these journals, and they're technically college ruled. Narrow, that's what I was thinking of. The college ruled narrow, kind of tighter spaces in between the lines versus wide ruled. And so what I've been noticing is the last 2 days, I've been able to complete 2 full pages. And I don't know if I'm a really slow writer, but it's taken me about 16 to 18 minutes. So if we just round up, about 20 minutes to write out 2 pages, that means it's like 8 to 10 minutes per page. I am very excited about this practice, but if I'm being completely honest with you, I don't have 30 minutes every morning right now. I'm a little jealous, a little envious of people who do. But with all the things that I told you that I plan on getting done in the morning, plus getting myself ready, taking care of myself, helping to get the kids ready and out the door, I am struggling with the 3 pages. So these first 2 days, I've done 2 full pages of stream of consciousness writing, and I'm loving it. I'm hoping that a few different things are going to happen. I'm hoping that 1, my hand muscles will get stronger because after the first page, we're done with page 1 and my hand is really sore, but I go on, I push through and I complete a whole another page. So I'm hoping that my hand muscles get stronger and more resilient. And I am also hoping that I'm able to write a lot faster. But that's that. I'm loving that. All the things in the morning right now. So we've got working out using the Body, formerly known as Beachbody. I've always loved their programs. One of my clients is I think it's called a Body Partner, and they were running an insane deal that I jumped in and took advantage of in December. And so I've been really consistent with my at-home workouts at least 3 to 4 times a week using their different on-demand programs, absolutely loving it. And then shifting into all of the different things that are part of the Vitality Revival Challenge. I'm now well into my 2nd week of this, and then just getting started with the morning pages every day as part of the Artist's Way. I'm only 2 days into that. And then the other thing I mentioned was a creativity date. So again, I want to read through and like really understand the fine print of how this was designed to be completed and moved through. And I don't know exactly what that is yet. So from what I understand, a creativity date is just an hour or 2 for you to go do something where you can focus on creative expression. This can be going somewhere. This can be doing something in your home. This can be doing something out in nature. I'm really excited to learn about that. And then one other thing, that I'm going to need to find a way to weave this into my creativity date. But here in the next couple of days, I'm going to be hopping in my car. I live in San Diego with my sweet little fam, not so little fam. I think when you have 3 kids, you can't be considered a little family anymore. That's just me and my opinion. But I'll be hopping in my car and driving probably like 90 minutes, I think is what it'll be, up from San Diego to Anaheim. And I will be getting to spend a couple of days with my mom, who I'm so excited to spend time with. We really don't get a whole lot of time together. One, because we live 500 miles apart. She lives in Northern California up in the Bay Area. And as I just said, I live in San Diego. So we don't live near each other. And then in the event that we are together, I mean, I love my kids, but when we're with my mom, they just steal up all of her time. And then I don't ever get to spend time with her or have like a real grown-up connective conversation. And so there is an event called the Religious Education Congress. If you know, you know. Shout out to those of you who have literally been listening consistently for an entire year, because if you have, you may remember that this exact time last year, I recorded a podcast episode, a breakdown of my very first time going to the Religious Education Congress. This is something that my mom and some of her friends have been doing, honestly, I think for well over a decade. And last year was my first time going and I loved it so much. And now I'm like, okay, sign me up. I want to go every single year. And so this will be my second consecutive year of going and I'm very excited. And so I will be away from my kids for a solid like 2.5 days. And I'm going to see if I could figure out exactly what a creativity date is meant to consist of and weave it into the time when I'm away, when I don't have to be in mom mode because I'm hanging out with my own mom. I'm in baby girl mode, which is, if I'm being completely honest, my favorite. My mom treats me like a little princess, and I really love that. So I am going to be bringing all of the sparkly princess vibes to this weekend and to whatever this creativity date ends up being. So those are some things I'm feeling really very excited about. There are also all of the things in the DKC. If you don't know, how do you not know? But DKC is an acronym for Dani, Kenney Coaching. So it's my brand. All things DKC. Our DKC offers and programs and courses and community from our paid coaching clients to the people who we hang out with here on the podcast, our pod squad, and people on social media. I just love connecting with and having conversations with. There are so many really fun, amazing things happening. Last week on the podcast, I was talking about my love, my deep, deep love for NLP breakthrough days and how that has already and will continue to be a huge part of my business offerings and how I am going to be coaching my clients. We often talk a lot about Energy Expansion Academy, which is my 4-month group coaching program. And it is the place within my business where I spend the most time. And I spend the most time there because it's one of my favorite places in the whole wide world. It's my favorite group of women. We have the most life-giving, expansive conversations around energetics, identity, intuition, mindset, strategy, what it means to create a life and a business that feel really good and aligned. And one of the other things that I'm really excited and so lit up by is the work that I get to do in supporting a really good friend of mine. Her name is Jolie Dawn. If you've been around for a while, you've heard her name. If you haven't, let me introduce you to someone who I love so much. Jolie and I have been connected for a really long time. Like, I've known Jolie longer than I've known my husband, which means that's probably 17 or 18 years, which is absolutely wild to think about. And we started our coaching businesses right around the same time. And it's been so fun and such a blessing to have a front row seat to each other's success. And a couple of years ago, it was actually right after I gave birth to baby River. And I had intentionally put a lot of like launching type things, marketing, lead generation, welcoming new clients into my own business. I had intentionally put that on hold. and created some extra space for myself so I could spend some extra time with baby boy. And we had a full DKC client roster, and my signature program was running as well. But right around that time, my friend Jolie was in a little bit of a pinch. She was launching a really successful program, and the coach who she was launching alongside, who was going to be supporting her, needed to withdraw from that role really quickly. It was like health things and personal related things. And right around that time, as I just mentioned, I had quite a bit of extra space that I didn't normally have at that point. Up until my business, I had created this intentional space, was getting ready to really dive back in and ramp things back up in my own business. I want to say River at the time was probably 8 or 9 months old. And Jolie had reached out and said, "Do you think you can help me with this?" And I was like, "This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy." Because if you had come to me at any other time prior to this, or even a few months after this, I would not have had the time, the space, or the capacity. Like, I wouldn't have been able to. But I have all of those things right now. So let's chat about what this would look like. So I told her, the timing could not be any more perfect. And if I'm being completely honest, I told this to her and I'm going to tell this to you. There have been many times throughout my business where I have partnered and collaborated with other organizations and other coaches and other companies. It really is in my DNA. I've learned that in the Enneagram. If you're familiar with the Enneagram, then you'll know. If you don't, you should go look it up because I don't know enough to tell you about it. But I'm a 2. And so I'm the archetype of the helper. And so I'm obsessed with having my own brand, my own business, my own programs, my community, my people. And also, I thrive and come alive when I can help others, when I can immerse myself in someone else's systems and programs and business model. The problem that I had run into in the past, though, was whenever I had done that with other people or other companies, other coaching companies, other organizations, it never really felt aligned. Like, pretty quickly after saying yes and picking up whatever that role was, I could feel in my body that, like, I'm not supposed to be here. This isn't right for me. I don't like the way that things are being done. Like, this is not aligned with my values, or these people are out of integrity, right? Integrity is one of my highest values. And so I had made this promise to myself. I'd never uttered it out loud up until this point, but I made this promise to myself that I was done. I was done going into inserting myself in other people's businesses, organizations, programs, communities. But Jolie Dawn was the one exception. And that was crazy, fam. That was 4 years ago. That was 4 years ago. And so we've gone on to lead multiple rounds of multiple variations of her programs. So she has a couple of different courses that she runs at certain times throughout the year. And we sort of rinse and repeat at this point. And it is so fun. And I love it. And I love her. And I love the team. And I love the people. And so I'm really excited because inside of the work that I get to do with her and her people, we are launching something new. I don't even think I can say it out loud yet. There is a free masterclass that's happening this week, and that is when we'll be introducing this new way of getting to work with really truly a world-class team of coaches. First and foremost, Jolie. This is her baby. This is her brand. This is her thing. Myself, shout out Dani, Kenney, if you know. And then another amazing coach named Nina Camille. And it's so funny when I said, Jolie, first and foremost, this is her baby. It is, and it isn't. The reason that we are rolling out this new way of working together is because homegirl's ready to have babies, and she wants to redesign the way that her offers are structured. And I feel, me being a mama of 3, and my kids are 12, 10, and my little guy is going to be 4 in just 2 weeks. That's so crazy. I'm in a really fun, sweet season of motherhood where I have more capacity than what my love Jolie will have when she has a newborn and when she's navigating pregnancy. There's so much magic happening. personally and professionally, creatively with the artist's way. Health wise, diving back into the vitality revival. I'm still feeling so amazing coming off of many months of the protocols that I was on. And if I'm being completely honest, I think I've drifted a little from some of those practices. And so this feels like a really beautiful opportunity to dive back in. And what else? I think I've shared on several of our recent podcast episodes that things inside of marriage and motherhood are feeling really fun and really sweet. Oh my goodness. Something that I don't think I've shared here a ton, and I've only trickled in a little bit on social media, is the fact that my 12-year-old, who is really 12 and a half, she'll be 13 a little bit later this year. She's so wise and so smart and so mature and so responsible. Don't throw anything at me. Don't judge me. She has a boyfriend. Oh my goodness. And this, like, if I'm being totally honest, this isn't a new thing. This is her business. This is not my business. So this is not something I'm going to be talking about a ton, but they've been boyfriend, girlfriend. They've had like an official title since October. So let's see, October, November, December, January, February. So like 4 to 5 months they've been boyfriend, girlfriend, and they will text and they'll talk on the phone a little bit. They don't have any classes together, so they don't get to spend a whole lot of time together during the day. They'll sometimes, their friend groups will sometimes eat lunch together, and they met on cross country. My daughter is in the 7th grade, and the way that her school works, this is the first year of middle school. Middle school is considered 7th and 8th grade, and then high school is 9th through 12th. And so she had access to different sports and activities and extracurriculars that she didn't have access to previously. And cross country was one of those. And she's super active, has a ton of energy, genuinely loves running. And so cross country was a really good fit. So they met on cross country. Their little crush and courtship was the cutest thing in the whole wide world. It's so sweet and adorable and innocent. And I would imagine that it feels good to have a crush on someone, to like someone, to have feelings for someone, and to be met in that way. And I said, I could imagine. I mean, I know what that is because I'm 38 years old and I've had my fair share of those. And now I'm in a marriage we'll be celebrating 15 years in July. July 1st will be 15 years for my boo thang, my main squeeze, my baby daddy. We'll be celebrating our 15th wedding anniversary, and I am obsessed with him. And I make that very clear. And I think that in his own way, he's a man of few words, which works well because I have too many words. And so we fit well in that way. But I know that in his own way, he's equally obsessed with me, and it feels really good. So all of that to be said, we're in like this really sweet season of marriage and, for me, motherhood, with my oldest daughter navigating like, what does dating mean for a 7th grader, for someone who's about to be 13, and they don't see each other a lot, like I said, during the day. And so there's like little weekend things. We've had him come over here, and we have rules and boundaries, but we've got a game room, and so like all doors stay open, and there's no physical anything. There's no hand holding, there's no hugging, there's like none of that. But they have a lot of fun together. So they play darts and ping pong and play pool, and they both love Pokemon. And so they trade Pokemon cards, and they play with my daughter's leopard gecko, Ruby. It's like my daughter's pride and joy. It's so sweet. And she was invited to go to an amusement park with him, Knott's Berry Farm, if you know anything about that. And so there were some big conversations around that. I was a bit of a chaperone. I did not go into the park with them. I drove them from San Diego about 2 hours up to Knott's Berry Farm, dropped them off at the park, hung by all day long. They wanted to be the first ones there and the last ones to leave. So they were at the park from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. and I was at a little Starbucks walking distance. I completed my master practitioner certification test. And by the way, I passed the test. Go me. That felt so exciting to get those results back. I drove about 20 minutes down to Huntington Beach, and I took myself out for a little date, and then got a lot of work done and hung out in Knott's Berry Farmland. I was going to say, what the heck is it called? It's called Buena Park. I hung out in the Buena Park area for 12 hours, right? Is that what 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. is? Whatever that is. Me and Buena Park just got some solo time together. It was quite lovely. And so there is a lot of new edges right now. There's new edges in every area of my life, personally and professionally. And it feels really good. It feels really fun. It feels really, really sweet and aligned. And I think I'm looking at the clock now. Speaking of my kiddos, it's about time for me to go pick them up. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, this honestly ended up being longer than I thought it was going to be because I didn't have any notes. I didn't know what we were going to talk about other than what I'm doing, what I'm loving, what's aligned, what's working. And so I'm really hoping that you found this episode fun and interesting and helpful. And if I touched on something that you want to know more about, either for yourself or you're like, hey, Dani, can you bring me even further into that area of your life or your business or marriage or motherhood or whatever that may be? You all know that for the most part, here on the podcast and publicly, I'm an open book. For the people who are inside of my signature program, Energy Expansion Academy, I literally hold nothing back. I am the most open book there and like 98% open here. So if there's anything that you want to know about, that you want to learn about, that you want to hear more about, please reach out to me. Let me know. I would love to get to come alongside you and do life and business with you, help you find your own flavor of alignment and expansion. And I keep on describing the season of life that I'm in is sweet, like sweetness. And that works for me. I want that. I love that. And so you might want your own flavor of sweetness or spicy or sassy or bold or whatever that may be. And that's literally what I'm here to do. It's what I've dedicated my life to, is helping you create and feel and be and experience more of what you want. So thank you for letting me share a little bit about what's alive, what I'm loving, where I'm at, and I would love to hear more from you. So as always, feel free to follow up this episode, hop out of wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts and hop into social media. Find me on Instagram or Facebook, send me a message, send me a voice note, let me know what this stirred up for you, and I cannot wait to see you on the next one.